Disclaimer: this video discusses real crimes involving minors for documentary and educational purposes. It does not glorify violence or the individuals involved. Viewer discretion is advised. Lori Tackett, Shanda Sharer case, midnight to 2:35. On January 11, 1992, in rural Indiana, 4 teenage girls carried out one of the state's most notorious crimes. Among them was 17-year-old Lori Tackett, whose actions played a major role in the death of 12-year-old Shanda Sharer. The plan was organized by Melinda Loveless, who was jealous because Shanda had been dating her former girlfriend, Amanda Hine. Using false pretenses, the group persuaded Shanda to leave her father's home before driving her to a secluded area known locally as the Witch's Castle. Over the next several hours, Shanda was restrained and repeatedly assaulted. During the attack, Tackett reportedly told Shanda that the area was filled with human remains and that hers would be next. Investigators later learned that Tackett had experienced significant personal struggles. Court records described mental health problems, childhood trauma, and previous hospitalization for self-harm. She had also developed an interest in the occult before meeting Melinda Loveless in 1991. After leaving the secluded location, the group placed Shanda in the trunk of Tackett's vehicle. They later drove to a remote field near Madison, Indiana, where Shanda died from her injuries and fire. Investigators quickly solved the crime after 2 participants confessed, and physical evidence inside Tackett's car supported their accounts. All 4 pleaded guilty, avoiding trial and the possibility of the death penalty. In 1993, Tackett received a 60-year prison sentence for murder, criminal confinement, and arson. She was released in 2018 after serving 26 years because of good time credit and completed 1 year of supervised release. The case remains one of the most studied examples of serious juvenile crime in the United States and continues to be examined in books and documentaries. Nicole Jackson, Volusia County shootout. The next case involved a confrontation with law enforcement that lasted more than half an hour. In June 2021, deputies in Volusia County, Florida, responded to a reported burglary. Inside the residence were 14-year-old Nicole Jackson and a 12-year-old boy, who had run away from a group home after entering a house containing multiple firearms. Authorities said the juveniles had access to an AK-style rifle, a shotgun, and several handguns. When deputies attempted to resolve the situation peacefully, shots were fired from inside the residence. Body camera footage captured Nicole shouting, "I'm going to kill you all," during the standoff. Deputies repeatedly attempted to end the incident without anyone being killed while taking cover from incoming gunfire. Public records reveal little about Nicole's family history, but she had been living in a group home before running away. Whatever circumstances led to that point, the situation escalated into one of the most unusual juvenile confrontations with law enforcement in recent years. The standoff ended without any deputies or civilians losing their lives. Nicole was charged with attempted first-degree murder of law enforcement officers, burglary, and criminal mischief. Prosecutors sought adult charges because of the seriousness of the incident. In 2023, she entered a no-contest plea and was sentenced to 20 years in prison, receiving credit for time already served. As of 2025, she remains incarcerated. The case raised broader questions about juvenile justice, access to firearms, and the challenges faced by vulnerable youth in residential care. Diane Michelle Zamora, Adrian Jones murder. The next case involved 2 honor students whose promising futures ended in tragedy. Diane Michelle Zamora, born in Texas in 1978, excelled academically and dreamed of becoming an astronaut. She met David Graham through the Civil Air Patrol, and the 2 eventually became engaged. In December 1995, 16-year-old Adrian Jones was found dead near Joe Pool Lake. Investigators determined that the killing had been planned after Graham admitted to Zamora that he had previously been intimate with Adrian. Instead of ending the relationship, the couple decided to confront Adrian. According to prosecutors, Graham lured Adrian into his vehicle while Zamora hid in the back seat. During the attack, Zamora reportedly shouted, "Kill her," before Graham fatally shot Adrian. Months later, The investigation broke open after Zamora discussed the crime with roommates at the United States Naval Academy, who contacted authorities. Investigators later recovered blood evidence from Graham's vehicle and the handgun connected to the crime. Their 1998 trial drew national attention because both defendants had outstanding academic records and military ambitions. Both Zamora and Graham were convicted of capital murder and sentenced to life imprisonment with parole eligibility after 40 years. In 2007, Zamora participated in a televised polygraph interview but denied intentionally planning the murder. The interview produced no new legal evidence. As of 2025, Zamora remains incarcerated in Texas, with parole eligibility expected around 2035. Christina Atkins, morphine poisoning case. The next case centered on the death of a grandmother who had been caring for her teenage granddaughter. In Michigan during 2006, Virginia Bentley became increasingly ill from what initially appeared to be unexplained medical problems. Investigators later concluded that her 13-year-old granddaughter, Christina Atkins, had been introducing morphine into her medications over time before administering a fatal dose. Toxicology results confirmed lethal levels of morphine, and investigators eventually focused on Christina because she had both access and opportunity. A clear motive was never firmly established. Court records referenced mental health struggles and difficult family circumstances, but none fully explained the crime. Because investigators believed the poisoning showed planning, Christina was prosecuted as an adult. During court proceedings in 2008, she pleaded guilty to second-degree murder. Addressing the court, Christina said, "I really am sorry. I took someone I loved." Virginia's husband also spoke, saying, "You took her life. You took mine." Christina received life imprisonment with parole eligibility after 20 years. As of 2025, she remains incarcerated, with parole eligibility expected around 2026. The case remains notable because it involved a prolonged poisoning carried out against a close family member who had been providing care. Charlie K. Yoli, Kath, Seth, Jackson murder. The final case involved the conviction that was later overturned. In April 2011, 15-year-old Kath, Seth, Jackson was lured to a residence in Summerfield, Florida, where several individuals were waiting. He was attacked, killed, and efforts were later made to conceal the crime. Among those arrested was 18-year-old Charlie K. Yoli. Prosecutors alleged that Charlie helped lure Seth to the home, although she was not accused of carrying out the fatal assault herself. The primary aggressor was Michael Bargo, whose dispute with Seth centered on a previous relationship. Charlie had documented mental health diagnoses, including bipolar disorder, depression, and anxiety. These issues later became part of her appeals. She was convicted of first-degree murder in 2011 and sentenced to life in prison. Nearly a decade later, an appeals court ruled that she had received ineffective assistance of counsel during her original trial, vacating her conviction. Rather than face another trial, Charlie accepted a plea agreement for second-degree murder and received a 10-year sentence. Because she had already served that amount of time, she was released. As of 2025, Charlie maintains a low profile in Florida. Meanwhile, Michael Bargo remains on death row. The case illustrates how different levels of involvement, available evidence, and legal representation can lead to dramatically different outcomes for people involved in the same crime. These 5 cases continue to be examined by criminologists, legal experts, and psychologists seeking to better understand how serious crimes involving juveniles occur, and what lessons they may offer for prevention in the future. If videos like this help you understand true crime and the justice system, tap like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next case. You're watching Zitty Shadow, where real cases meet real answers.